Hey guys, I need to do a big my bad at the start of this because I forgot to set the recording going initially. So my backup recording is what I have start with. It's not the best quality and also has my big face up really like right in the front of it because I didn't change the settings. So my bad. Really sorry to Eli. Hope it doesn't spoil it for you guys. It's a really, really fun video. Keep watching, please. Hey guys, I am here with media personality, Insta celebrity, commentator, podcast, and the most prolific soccer content creator working today, Eli Lesser. Eli, how are you?
Dude, I am great. You gave me a lot of titles there that much appreciate. I don't know if I deserve all that, but thank you so much for having me. I'm a big fan of what you do, and
Thank
dude,
you.
I love all the drawings you've done of every other person. I was like, I need to get in on this. I want my own drawing, not to sound narcissistic at all.
That's the
You do a great
law.
job with what you do. Yeah, and I think there's a couple of reasons, as we'll talk about, as to why I think it's important for us to connect. I was very happy to talk to you today and find the time to do this, especially before the season kicks off.
Yeah, exactly. We've been in touch for quite a while now. Yeah, just do it back and forth. We've got a lot of shared interests there as well. And I love your stuff. I just can't believe how much of it you actually turn out. I had the quality of the videos that you're putting out every day at the moment. I mean, that's serious content. I mean, how are you finding the time to put all this together?
Yeah, well, I'm in a situation now where I'm out of school, and this is kind of all I have going on. So
Cool.
it is a lot easier for me to pump out videos. Less stress in that, but it is kind of my full time gig right now, and I'm looking for ways to actually make more money so I can do this full time for a long time. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now, and yeah, it's a grind. I wake up every day and I have a set amount of videos I have to make, whether or not the topics are interesting enough or not. And I think that's the biggest struggle, is just making sure I have like the topic each day that I think will do well. Because unfortunately I do have to feed the machine that is the algorithm, and it is what it is. Do I enjoy that aspect of it? Not as much, but sometimes I get good rewards. Sometimes it brings negative attention. Who cares? Attention is attention on social media. As long as I'm not getting canceled, I think it's fine. But yeah, it's that's the life right now.
Fantastic. No, it is such high quality as well. I will put Eli's details down in the description below. So if you haven't checked him out, then all those details will be down there. But it's fascinating. You've got this real style, really, really punchy videos where you keep the viewer's attention. Things are snapping. Visually is exciting. You're very enthusiastic and sort of talented presenter. So you're putting that energy out there as well. I find it really, really entrancing to watch those videos.
Yeah, thank you. With that, it's I try to make content geared towards the Gen Z audience and towards the audience of fans that were around the same age I became a fan of
Right.
the
Yeah.
game. And my content isn't even though I am an MLS sicko,
Mm.
and I'm very ingrained in that community in a way. My content isn't necessarily geared towards the sickos and the super analytical people. It's about drawing more attention to the league and getting hopefully getting more fans to the league. So I'm kind of like the gateway band to, I'm the Blink 182 to people's dead Kennedys. Like that's kind of how I see myself. Where I want to be like the first band you get into while you're trying to dive into your fandom.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think that's exactly what you're doing. That you're hitting that nail right on their head. It's kind of similar in a way to what I'm doing, which is trying to give people an entrance into MLS, not knowing about the Portland Timbers or not knowing about LA Galaxy, that sort of thing. Come and watch a fan talk about them, and then maybe you'll get into that, or obviously the instructional stuff or informational stuff that I do as well, trying to make that accessible. But yeah, I often do worry that my videos are too long to really encapsulate young people. But I think people maybe, I don't know, 25 to 45 or plus might get on a bit more with having something on which is, I don't know, it's maybe not as in your face, but and not as maybe exciting and dynamic, but it's sort of informational, it's fun, and it's in a bit of a longer form maybe.
Yeah, I mean, everyone brings something to the table, and where MLS is right now, it's just anyone who's talking about MLS is doing such a great service to the league. Specifically, people are talking about it positively, like you and I.
Mm.
But every form of MLS content right now is super valid and super needed. So, everyone has their style that does them well. And I know you've talked to a bunch of people who have different styles to me. And it's
Oh
all
yeah.
great. And, it's not about, competition. It's really about, building this league up together. And that's kind of how I've always viewed other people in this space. It's, we have a mission and we all have the same goal. So let's, collaborate. Let's do everything together and, grow this thing together, because it doesn't, one person can't do it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think that positivity point that you touched on there is super important, because to be honest, there's enough crap that gets thrown at MLS. We don't need to join in with that. We can just take the positive side and go, look, here's the things you can enjoy. It's a wonderful, really fun league. Just enjoy it. That's been my ethos for it. I think we're both hitting that same sort of level. How did you get started with soccer in general? Has it always been a love for you, or has it been a more sort of recent thing?
So I fell in love with the game a bit later than most people would. At least if you start with sports as young as possible. My first love was baseball. I was a baseball player. I also really loved watching basketball at the time. But then my first real exposure to the sport as a whole wasn't playing in AYSO as a 5-year-old, but it was actually when David Beckham came to the Galaxy in 2007. Wow. I was 7 years old. My grandpa was a huge European football fan, and he wanted to go see David Beckham play. So that was my first exposure to the sport, and I fell in love with the sport because of the LA Galaxy, which is unlike a lot of soccer fans, even in America. They start with Madrid or Barca. They fell in love because of watching Messi and stuff. But for me, it was the LA Galaxy. That's what started it all for me. And I'd say, I went to a couple matches, but I really became like a true LA Galaxy fan during the golden years of 2011, 2012. And then 2014 is my all-time favorite MLS for obvious reasons. And I became, what I am now I am now in 2015 because I started my Instagram, which is still the Instagram today, as a promotional page for my podcast at the time. And how that all came together is a crazy thing where I was in this podcast network from a sports broadcasting camp I attended. And what happened is I go to this sports broadcasting camp as a Dodger guy. I want to be the next Vin Scully, who was the voice of the Dodgers. And I go to this broadcasting camp, and first day we're there, I'm wearing a gray hoodie and a Dodger hat, and every other kid there is wearing a gray hoodie and a Dodger hat. And at first I was like, this is the coolest thing. There's so many people like me. By the way, I forgot to preface this, but I always wanted to be a sports broadcaster. Like that was just since I was a kid. So I at first I was like, this is so cool. Everyone's like me. But then I found out how competitive this space is and just broadcasting in general. And, everyone wants to be the next Vin Scully when you're a Dodger fan. And I was like, wait, all these kids want to. But then I realized throughout my first week at that camp, this was in 2014, I was like, hey, I'm the only kid here who knows anything about soccer or anything about MLS in general. So I was like, this time next year, I'm going to be the MLS guy at this camp. So it started as just being the MLS guy at a camp. And I created a podcast with that network of kids making podcasts just about MLS called This Week in MLS. And that's how it all started. And by the time I went back to that camp, I had just started my page, promoting my podcast, posting some news. And then what happened is in 2020, obviously the pandemic hit, and I was in sort of a crisis as a human being, honestly, because I felt like this was just after my freshman year of college. I was like, man, I'm really not doing anything to benefit my career, my life. If I want to be this television personality, why am I just posting graphics? That doesn't help me at all. That doesn't showcase myself. So I was like, hey, I built up this following posting graphics. I'm just going to start making videos. Screw it. I don't care about engagement and all that to start. So I just started posting 3 to 5. They were IGTV videos before Reels were a thing. And then as TikTok took over, I was actually late to the TikTok party in a way, where the TikTok blow up was in the pandemic in 2020. I didn't join TikTok till August 2021. And that's when I started to make Reels and shorts, the kind of the content I make now. And that, my goal with everything is, I have my, the goals that benefit the rest of the world and the league, but also I have my personal goals with my platform where it's, I want to grow the sport of soccer or football in America one follower at a time, but I also want to showcase myself to get myself career-wise to the next level. And that's kind of the point of my page right now. In general, kind of have two different reasons to do what I do.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and it really does show that you are a Galaxy fan. That's where you're from. That's where your heart lies. But you've got a lot of love for the whole league. You've got, I've often seen you in. I think you are the guy with the biggest MLS themed wardrobe I have ever seen. And I've got a lot of shirts, but even I haven't got every club here. But you've got so many shirts; it is utterly stunning. So, that your love really big, but especially more for some. And I think we'll get onto your rivalries a little bit later on, but I think it's clear you've really thrown yourself into it. And yeah, I think that's really lovely. That really comes across as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, my passion is, growing Major League Soccer, but I've realized at a point, which is why I rebranded, where I could only go so far just covering MLS, and also having MLS tied into my name brings up potential issues. And I realize I kind of need to grow my following as much as I can to impress MLS more. That's also kind of an issue where I'm at, where I feel like they notice me, but they don't consider me anything yet. And I just feel like I have to grow my audience as much as possible, so that my master plan is that I leave just covering MLS, so that I could eventually go back to just covering MLS in a way and just US soccer.
Yeah, but you're clearly knowledgeable about other leagues as well. It's clearly not just an MLS thing. You know your stuff about the big leagues around the world, and even beyond those as well. So no, absolutely, why not? And that's it's going to be a good way to step forward, isn't it?
Yeah, and in general, when I talk about a certain topic, it's not just because of that. I've found a lot of fascination in other leagues as I've gone on in this space. One league that I really enjoy watching and talking about when I can is the Bundesliga, just because I'm very fascinated by the culture there, and also certain rules that make up that make clubs there. I love the 50+1 rule and stuff, which is something that you and I know a lot about now. Way. But I just started to find other leagues super fascinating. I used to be like, I don't want to talk about any other league. The MLS is soccer. There's no other soccer. But there obviously is better leagues, quality wise. And I just want to explore as many avenues as I can, because maybe I won't go back to just covering MLS one day. Maybe I'll get an opportunity. I need to open myself up to more opportunities, and I also want to travel the world. And if I could get to a point where I could get paid to travel, that'd be amazing. Who doesn't want that?
That's like a dream to me. Yeah. I'm waiting for the first club to come and say, Tom, come and do Discovering MLS out in Chicago or LA or something. I'll take that.
Yeah, I want to get to that level, because there's a lot of people, and I'm not envious of them in the sense where I wish they didn't get those opportunities. It's more I see other people getting those opportunities, and I'm like, how can I get to the level to get those opportunities myself as well? I'm never ever, and I've already, when I talked about bringing the community together, I'm never against any other creator or anything. It's more about lifting each other up. How can I, I see what levels other people are on, and I see what they're doing successful and how they're getting to that level. And my goal is to, do not the exact same thing, because I like being different, but, find the ways that I can get to that same level while being unique to what I do.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like you're going the right way about it, as far as I'm concerned. So tell us about Orange County. So that's something that you're also into alongside LA Galaxy. There's another love in your life, which is Orange County.
Yeah, it's a new love, a little. I wouldn't say this is a side chick or anything, because I've really grown to love this club, and I'd say my love for the club started a couple years back, which I wasn't very public about. I was very supportive of them with this, and it has to do with the collaboration that they've done twice now, because I'm wearing the hoodie of the second one. But Orange County. Yeah, so I grew up in the LA punk rock scene, Orange County punk rock scene in high school. I spent most weekends, if I wasn't going to a soccer match, I was going to a concert in preferably Orange County. Actually, my favorite concert venue, which I'm actually going to next Thursday, is the House of Blues in Anaheim. So that's a place that I've gone to a lot. It was kind of my escape from, not being the most normal kid in high school to people. That was my escape. So when Orange County dropped their collab with Social Distortion, a band that I'm very familiar with, I actually haven't seen them live yet, but I might be this year. I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing, combining my love for soccer, combining my love for fashion, and combining my love for punk rock. I'm like, this is the dream collab. So that's when like Orange County really got on my radar. At this point, this was still 2022, so MLS Next Pro, I believe, hadn't launched yet. No, it had. But before then, I was at Los Dos. LA Galaxy 2 was my USL team, obviously. But I was like, Orange County, pretty sick. And then basically what happened is I started growing another connection to them when Chris Klein, the former, thank God, Galaxy president, tried to take over Orange County SC Stadium. And this was in the middle of, the Klein out protests, us trying to get him out. And this was a big thing for me, where I was like, this is so effed up. They were just trying to kick Orange County out of their stadium, take it for themselves. And this was a Chris Klein thing. This was a no one else but Chris Klein thing. And that really motivated me to take my Klein out protesting to the next level and really get this guy out. Cause I'm like, it made me feel a lot stronger about Orange County SC. And as we know, when they opened up fan ownership, which is something that's very familiar to people in other countries, like I mentioned with the German game, I'm like, this is the best idea ever. I mean, in general, clubs should be owned by the fans. And that was kind of a big thing for me. I was like, they're the closest USL club to me. They're opening ownership to the fans. How can I get involved? And I want to not only become a fan owner, but, use my platform to their advantage and, help the club with the platform that I've built for myself. And that's kind of where I'm at with them now. And I'm trying to figure out ways with them to get more involved on the content side of things so that, I can help Orange County continue to grow. And, when I'm joking when I say, oh, let's make Orange County the most massive club in the world, but at the same time, I'm not. That's the mentality you have to take when you become an owner of a club. You want to make this club succeed. And at least if I'm not going to, make Orange County as good as or as widely known as, Real Madrid or Barcelona, at least I want when people to think of the USL, they think of Orange County SC and that club only. And I want to get Orange County to that point. I would love for Orange County to win, Open Cups and stuff, because that's like the way for, most U.S. soccer fans to really get behind a USL team or remember a USL club. So, that's kind of my goal. And, hopefully as well, as I mentioned, where I have like two sides to my career, where it's, I could also get, more professional reps for, just for rep, for me practicing and getting better on camera and all that stuff. So that's another side of it. But, I would love to do that with Orange County. And now that I'm an owner, we can make Orange County as massive as we can with our platforms, whether it's through just like reposting their stuff or just like, getting involved in making whatever content I can with the club. And, I've really enjoyed talking with the people at the club so far. And I'm hoping that, this isn't just I became an owner and then it goes away. Like, I want this to be a part of my identity as a whole and as a creator. Cause, how many chances are you going to get to become an owner of a club? It's not like, you or I are these like billionaires, right? It's the coolest concept to be able to own a club and say you own a club. It's the biggest flex. But it's such a cool and unique opportunity, especially in American soccer. And, there were obviously there's a couple clubs doing this, but because Orange County is my local club, I already have this connection to the area of Orange County through the music. And I've developed a love for the club. And also I went to a college where our mascot was the orange. So, orange is in my blood. So I'm all in on Orange County, and I'm hoping that I could get my followers, and I have some like cult like followers, so I want to get them all on board onto Orange County. And for them, whenever they see whenever they think of USL, they'll think of Orange County. Whenever they see Orange County, hopefully they'll think of me as well, and that could be beneficial for the club as well as for my brand as well. So it's a duh. Like, obviously, like, I want to get involved in it. Like, who wouldn't want to do this? It's such a cool opportunity, and I'm glad you did. And your video, I watched your interview with the president, and that was also part of what got me really wanting to get involved with the club as well.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I wanted to know.
Sure sorry, go on.
No, real quick, just like as a refresher for me and for the audience, I just want to know, like, how you decided like this was, you want to invest in it.
Yeah, it was one that I hadn't really had a huge amount of exposure to, and had seen the USL. I was getting more and more interested in after obviously diving into MLS and sort of making these videos, learning more and more and more. And you have these through Open Cup, through the love of shirts that I have as well. You see USL clubs coming up on the radar occasionally. You go, oh, this is a really interesting league. They've got real identities. It seems to be loads of really passionate local fan bases that these clubs have at USL. And I think a lot of some of the MLS clubs were sort of loosely born there as well. So it's a real other story, and I'm definitely going to do more on that. But that was kind of in my consciousness when this sort of opportunity came up. I saw it, came in my emails and went, that sounds fantastic. And the more I looked at Orange County, the more I went, this club is something really special. They are in the community. They are hosting kids' parties. They are reaching out. They're doing collabs, which is really cool as well with local people as well. It's just seems really community-minded, something really, really special in the heart there. And then when I reached out, they were really happy to speak to me as well, and really friendly and really lovely, and obviously had lots in common. So yeah, it was a real passion thing, and it was just like, right, well, this is my club. This is meant to be. And so yeah, it's lovely, and it is. That gives you a great feeling, going that it literally is my club. I own a little bit of that.
And I hope we can get you to a match. I know it'll be a lot harder for you to get to one than me because I live very close. But to all those Orange County peoples out there, I will be at the home opener on March 23rd. So I really hope I get to meet some of you guys. And, I'm excited for Beer Fest and all that stuff that they have planned this whole entire season. And, hopefully this will be our second title. I think this team has a lot of potential with it. A lot of great players returning from last year, and a lot of new additions to replace one huge loss up top. But, I think this team is looking very, very good. And I think if you want to get into USL this season, definitely watch Orange County SC. I'm 100% biased, but also from an unbiased standpoint, I think there's a lot to like about this club that you guys should get into and, root for.
Yeah, it looks like a huge amount of fun, and the merch they've got is fantastic as well. So obviously not in the collab stuff, but the other stuff they've got as well. Check out the website; it is really top-notch stuff. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to our collab at Orange County when we do that.
Absolutely.
It's going to be the next couple of years. I'm really hoping.
You let me know when you're there, and I will make sure I will be there no matter what. And we will do a 3-way collab: Eli Lesser TV, Discovering MLS, and Orange County SC. Boom!
Yes.
It's going to be epic, and you guys will want to be there. All of y'all listening will want to be there for that for sure.
So 100%, it's going to be the best. I'm really genuinely excited about that now. I'm just going to raise some money.
I'm good at building excitement. That's what I do. So
exactly, you're a real hype man. I love this. I love this.
If I couldn't get you excited. Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, talking about the culture around clubs and obviously the fans, like we have been. In your experience of MLS, which fans have really stood out for you?
Yeah, so I'm going to not be biased and, not just be like, oh, the Galaxy, but even though they have very unique things that I think are very special to MLS, especially in terms of like their tailgating and all that stuff, very different than everyone else. But one thing for me is with supporter culture in MLS specifically, and just the U.S. national team and all that, I've now seen enough MLS stadiums where I could kind of see which clubs are kind of chanting the same things and doing things a bit differently and unique. And, whenever I visit a club and I hear their chants and they're very different than everyone else, that really draws my attention a bit more. Everyone does the "we love you," and everyone does, "vamos, vamos." Those are classics, but it's really like, what other chants do you do that really separates you? And that's what draws me in. It's not just the size of your crowd and the size of your supporter section, the size of your culture and your fandom, but it's really just how different you can make yourself in this space. And I don't like to give them too much credit, but I think LAFC is a good example where they do completely different chants from everyone else. Galaxy do different chants aside from those two that I mentioned earlier. Everyone does those. One fandom that I was very impressed with this past year was FC Cincinnati, but I think everyone kind of is on the FC Cincinnati hype train now. Obviously, they had a great year, but I think everyone noticed that their fans are loud. That was the loudest supporter section I went into. They did kind of fall to that, or fall the victim of doing a lot of similar chants to a lot of clubs, but they also had a couple of different ones as well. I think Orlando is super underrated. I like talking about Orlando's supporter section. They're rowdy. They're not your nicest supporter section, but I don't think anyone goes to the supporter section to have like a friendly, family friendly experience. It's very funny. They have a section in their supporter section where it's all kids, and the capos are kids. And the funniest moment, I don't know if I could swear on here.
Go for it.
Oh, I can? Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing they do is, different countries, when the goalkeeper kicks the ball, the opposing goalkeeper does a goal kick, everyone does a chant or anything. But the funnest thing I ever experienced in my time as like an MLS creator, just being an MLS fan, was standing in front of the kids supporter section, because I was on the field, and the opposing goalkeeper was actually Roman Berkey, who's like the goalkeeper of MLS, because they were playing St. Louis. And all of a sudden I hear a drum roll, and as he kicks it, I hear from these kids, "You suck, asshole." And I'm like, this is America. This is exactly why I am here. This is why this league and supporter culture and why this sport is so incredible. You have kid capos leading these "you suck, asshole" chants. That is the best thing ever. And that just encapsulates, how the game is growing, in America. For me, it's really important to get the kids involved and the teenagers involved into the league, because they're the ones who are really going to be able to grow it. I hate to sound like a broken politician where it's like, oh, this generation's the next, the next generation controls our future or whatnot. But, it really does in terms of, supporter culture and stuff. So that's fun. And just seeing all these new stadiums pop up every year, just getting away from the supporter part and just the stadiums and the atmospheres as a whole. I mean, I've now been to a lot of the newer MLS stadiums, but nothing compares to what I experienced in St. Louis. That stadium is so incredible, and it makes sense because it's the newest. It should be the best. But I got a little tour of it before the match when I visited, and the guy who showed me around was like, we went to all the other new stadiums as we were building ours, and we wanted to take the best things from each one of them. And it's not stealing in a way, it's just inspiration. And taking the best from a bunch of different clubs is obviously going to make yours the best. And St. Louis did a fantastic job with City Park. I love it so much. I hope I could visit again. And then I just love going to different cities and seeing how each city embraces their MLS club or not, because I've been to cities where you can't even tell that an MLS club plays there. I mean, my worst experience was I went to Chicago. This wasn't a time I went for a match. I was just in Chicago visiting family, and I was very curious about how the club, or how the Chicago Fire were embraced in Chicago, a big sports town. And the unfortunate thing is, I actually went into seven different sports stores, just like merchandise stores, and not a single one of them had Chicago Fire merch. And I'm like, this is a problem. This is not okay. Versus other cities where all these local businesses have, scarves and stickers and posters. about their clubs, and you could tell that they really embrace their club. It's unfortunate that a city like Chicago, and they're not the only one that I've been to. They're just like the most traumatic, I guess, example for me. But it's tough when you really, as a MLS creator, I feel like I have a bit of a chip on my shoulder, and I feel like you probably feel the same way, where it's like you really have to prove yourself as like, MLS is legit, MLS is dope, MLS is growing. And it's tough when you go to a city like that and the club's non-existent. It's a punch in the face and it sucks. So that's kind of different things I've experienced with the fandom. But I will say though, now I'm going to toot my club's own horn, but the Galaxy, they really show that MLS can be a generational thing now, because a lot of the big draw for new MLS clubs is, hey, you guys can go and create something now, and we could start something new and see what it's like in 50 years or whatever, and be like, hey, we were the ones who started this. And that's a great expansion side. We're at the point now in MLS where some clubs have been around for a decent amount of time, and I'm very impressed with the Galaxy fandom's ability to remain very large. The Galaxy fandom are very known for being the best away supporters. They travel in numbers, more so than the other MLS club, and also just the traditions that the supporter culture has created, including one thing that's so cool for the Galaxy compared to other MLS clubs is they have an in-stadium tailgate space, which is where you could find me before any LA Galaxy match to anyone watching. But it's super unique. And then there's also just people who've been tailgating out of their trucks, for 30 years now. It's not just we just started this past year. These are people who started off with as like people my age, and now they're in their 40s and with their kids at these tailgates and stuff. So I don't know. I find that super, super cool. And, it shows authenticity, which I think a lot of people think MLS lacks. And one of my goals, I guess I have a lot of goals as a creator, but one of my goals is to kind of prove that, MLS does have authenticity, and it's specifically more than anything within their supporters. A lot of people think these supporter groups come out of nowhere and they're like industry plants in a way, or they're very corporate or anything, but that's really not the case. And I think if you talk to anyone that belongs to an MLS supporter group, they would completely reject the possibility of any of that. And that's an amazing thing that I've gotten to do when I visit all these cities is, talk to the supporter group leaders, talk to just general supporters of a club, and ask them, what their club means to them. And it's never really just some corporate answer. Like you hear these people's stories, and, how clubs get them out of, difficult situation, or take them away from difficult situations in their life and stuff. And that's genuine. That's authentic. And, that's something that people need to see more in MLS and understand more, that, sure, we're a single entity league like, the other American sports, but the connections to the club that all our fans have are very authentic.
Absolutely. Really, really. I think everybody who's been on this channel or I've interviewed has shown that the passion that's there and what it means to them to have that club there. And like I said, there are authentic histories there of obviously community. But one of the most recent videos that would have been released when this one comes out is with a Timbers fan, and that he tells at least 3 of the most brilliant stories of the club's history and how it's brought about songs and really emotional moments within the club's history, and how that's ingrained now in that club's history as they go forward, and it's part of their lore. And that's the supporters all go through it together, and then they take it forward with them. And that it's so authentic, and it's beautiful that these these communities move in that way. And one of the also things that I really respected about St. Louis when they joined the league, obviously just had their inaugural first season, they didn't say, we're going to contrive something. We're going to have a St. Louis mascot, which is something, a bridge, that sort of thing, or a cardinal. We're going to have that as the thing, and everyone's going to love that, and that's going to be. They're going, no, we'll make our own history. We don't have a mascot yet. Something will come up in the future, and it will mean that's our thing. But we're not going to do anything now to contrive it or make it happen. It's going to happen anyway, and I love that. It's fantastic.
Exactly, and it really. it always reminds myself as to why I'm doing what I'm doing in the first place. If I didn't feel like there was this authentic fan base and culture, being created, I wouldn't be doing any of what I'm doing now. I'd probably try to be an NBA YouTuber or something, like that's just, where I'm at. I really believe in this league, and I really believe in what I'm doing. And I really believe in, making, MLS and soccer, one of, if not the most popular sports in the US. I do actually believe soccer is the most popular sport in the US, because I think we have the numbers of fandoms, but it's just about number in fandom, but it's about getting the number of people on board with MLS that, we're still getting towards. Because I think, if you combine all the Barca, Real Madrid, Chelsea, United supporters, that would probably be a larger number than there are, maybe even NFL fans. It's just, how do we get those fans and other American sport fans in general to buy into MLS? And unfortunately for them, it's usually just the product on the field that's going to do that. But I'm trying to get other ways. And for me, it really just took me, going to a match. And I think that's the biggest thing for any MLS fan is, if you're not already a soccer fan, at least, the second you go to an MLS match, you get brought in immediately. I mean, my first Galaxy match, I was so amazed by looking at the supporter section. I was like, what is this? This is so foreign to me. And it's really just, that's what I feel like it takes. Literally just, it's as simple as that. It's just, how can we actually convince the people to go to the matches?
Yeah, I think what you could really do with is some sort of massive worldwide tournament being held in the US in the next couple of years that would really get people excited and into it. So I don't know where that might come from, but that would be really good.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I think they should maybe start with a super small tournament like the Copa America that no one watches or whatever. Not a big deal at all. And then, try that World Cup thing. I think that's a tournament that people might like. Yeah, I really think this World Cup thing has potential to be, maybe a tenth of the level of the Super Bowl, obviously. No, obviously the World Cup coming, Copa America World Cup, Women's World Cup coming to the US. I mean, that's the biggest thing possible for MLS in general in the sport in this country. And I'm super excited about it. And I feel like that's what I'm also kind of building towards in a way. It's like, how can I be, somebody at the World Cup? But it's the most massive thing in the entire world. And you think about what happened with the 1994 World Cup, and that basically launched MLS, and that's what really got U.S. soccer fans excited for that to happen. And MLS started from there, and MLS has grown so much since then. And now with social media and all that stuff in the picture, just imagine what's going to happen after the 2026 World Cup. I think that's what we're all trying to gear up towards, and it's the most exciting thing in the world. And now it's 2024. What can I do now as a creator to grow myself before the tournament? Because time is ticking now. It feels like it's actually
they're gonna need
happening.
people as well, aren't they?
Yeah, now finding out that the US is going to be playing 2 matches in my home city, like what can I do to be there and to be working it to grow the game as much as I can until that point. That's where I'm at now, and I'm beyond excited for it, and we'll get a little taste of it with the Copa America this summer, and I'm very excited to see that and see how that plays out, but also just everything in general that's going to be happening with the sport in the country. It'd be a shame for me to just talk about MLS with all this good coming to the US in general. So I'm so excited about all of it, really.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. We'll be so excited to see you there. If we can do that, that would be awesome, man. I think we wish you every luck on that journey. Now, as we're coming to the end now, what I want is to finish with some proper nostalgia and tell me your favorite ever players in the MLS.
Okay, I have 3 that I always think of.
Perfect.
And only one of them is a Galaxy guy.
Cool.
But my first one, my actual favorite player of all time, isn't a Galaxy guy. He actually played against us in the 2014 MLS Cup. But Lee Win was one of the players that really brought, when I was spreading out from just following the Galaxy, I started watching more MLS. This was when Lee Win was battling Robbie Keane for the 2014 MLS Cup. And I'm like, this Lee Nguyen guy is so cool. He changed his hairstyle almost like every month, which I thought was like super crazy. And then I mentioned him. Robbie Keane is my Galaxy GOAT. He is my absolute favorite Galaxy player of all time. He's someone that has always remained as like the guy that I look up to as a player. And I've just always loved Robbie Keane. I think, out of the big three, he gets the least of the flowers, but I think he might deserve the most in terms of the Beckham, Keane, Donovan trio. He brought in, I mean, he changed the game for the Galaxy in 2011 and 2012, 2014. I'd say he's more of a reason than Donovan for all three of those MLS Cups. So I absolutely love Robbie Keane, and I feel like he's the most irreplaceable player we've ever had. And I know that's weird saying it I know it's weird saying that since we've had Zlatan and, Chicharito and those guys since Robbie Keane, but just there was something about Robbie Keane that was just different. And then my third player is another one of a sleeper, I guess, in terms of, all-time MLS space, but a player that I really, was really at its peak. I was really starting this week in MLS, and that was Ignacio Piatti, aka Nacho Piatti from Montreal Impact / CF Montreal. He was just one of the sauciest wingers out there. And, he was just one of those guys that, if he got the ball and he was in a 1v1 situation, like rest in peace, the defender. And he was just super, super fun to watch. And I think, he'll kind of, I hope he doesn't, but I think, as MLS progresses, he might be one of the forgotten stars of the league. But for a few years there, he was really, a top 5 player in MLS, in my opinion. So, he's a guy that, at likely when I was really getting into covering MLS, he was one of my favorite players to watch, especially when he had Didier Drogba with him for a year and a half. Just watching those two combine, super fun. And, I want Piatti to continue to get his flowers, and Lee Nguyen as well, because he might get forgotten at some point. I don't think Robbie Keane will, as long as the Galaxy are like a well-known, well-recognized club. But those two I really want to keep pushing as, legends of the league.
That's fantastic answers. I mean, that it really is so much more interesting than saying, Beckham and Ibra and, Chicharito, of course. These guys, which are the ones that immediately spring to mind. I mean, Robbie Keane, absolute favorite. I mean, he played for my team Leeds as well. So, I mean, I've got a huge affection for him. But the other players, they're really dynamic, exciting players, but also ones that had a lot of character in their personality as well. So I love those answers. That's really cool.
I try to be genuine with my thoughts and opinions on what I talk about and all of that. And, I really also wanted to show appreciation for the club and the players that inspired me to be doing what I'm doing in the first place. And, those are the three that always pop into my mind.
That's great, because it's not always about the top goal scorer or the biggest star, is it? It's the ones you have that connection with, or you just like their personality, or the way they play, or like what they're exuding, or their values, that sort of thing. That's where the real connections are made, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely love that, and I'm looking forward to getting lots of those connections with the Orange County as I follow them into the new season as well. So, just finally, what do you think for Galaxy for the new season? What would represent a good season? Do you have any DPs yet?
Yeah, so we do have 2 new DPs coming in. One is official, one is basically official. Both are going to be crazy signings for the club. As the Galaxy, they've been known to sign maybe older, bigger names. But with Will Kuntz as their general manager, they're more focused on, creating a winning team. And they're signing Gabriel Peck, or they already signed him, who's a Brazilian winger who's with the Brazilian Olympic team. And he's incredible from Vasco da Gama. So he'll be a young DP. But then the big one is Joseph Panstil, who is a Ghanaian winger gang.
Yeah.
And he, last season in the Belgian Pro League, had 17 goals and 14 assists in 36 matches. And he's only 26 years old. I know that's not a young age, but
really, I know a lot of Premier League teams were after him last year. I did watch a few videos of him, and he is something special. Really, really is.
Yeah, so getting him at, as he's entering his true prime is just such a great move for the Galaxy and just the league as a whole. Getting more players like that is what's really going to raise the level of competition in the league. So I'm super excited, and hopefully, he could stay for a few years and stuff. But I'm more optimistic than I've been for over the last 5 or so seasons for the Galaxy. I'm extremely excited. A successful season, I'd say, definitely making the playoffs this year is at the minimum. I'd love to be a top four in the West. I think that might be a little unrealistic, but you got to dream big. And if we could knock out an LAFC in the playoffs, that's just going to make it all more sweeter.
That's the wish for the season. That's fantastic. Yeah. But going back to the pencil point, just it's brilliant that MLS are getting a player like that at that age. It's really, a finger up to all those who say, "Oh, retirement league," or this. Once you're finished, you come over there. No, the guy in his prime could have had a Premier League move, gone to MLS. That's what he's chosen to play for. He's chosen to play for Galaxy. That sends a huge message, I think.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed is that he's not the only one of that player coming to MLS this year. And one thing I've realized with the way it's going right now in leagues like the Premier League and stuff, if you're 25, 26, you're a good player, but you don't necessarily carry that type of name value that other players your age do, and you want to make a certain amount of money. MLS teams might be more willing to pay you that money than the big clubs in Europe and stuff, because they probably already have a couple of bigger name targets that are similar level as you, which leaves like a Punch still kind of, he's going to be making more money in MLS than he's making in Belgium right now. And I think that's an important thing, an important reason why, MLS can be intriguing. It's, a great lifestyle being in America and whatever, but also, they'll be offered more money as a DP than, maybe what they can get in like Serie A or the Premier League, because those clubs don't want to necessarily spend that much on salary for a player that, is decent, might not be like a game, or no, just like is very decent, but isn't like a game changer for your club at that level. So, I think he's going to be terrific in MLS. So I'm very excited to see what, could come out of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's going to get game time. He knows he's going to be starting every single game. He's going to be a star. He's going to be a big fish. He's going to be playing in front of big crowds. Why wouldn't you? It's a great choice, I think, for young players to make.
Exactly. Come to MLS, guys. Come to MLS.
Absolutely.
Or come to Orange County. If you're not coming to MLS, come to Orange County.
Yes, MLS and also USL. Eli, tell everybody where they can find you if they want to reach out and get more Lesser content.
Yeah, so I'm at Eli Lesser TV on all platforms. I'm formerly This Week in MLS, but now I'm just Eli Lesser TV on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, MySpace, Tumblr, whatever. I don't even those. Obviously, MySpace, but you look up Eli Lesser TV and you'll see a scary animation of my face, which is why I'm very excited to see what you doodle up for me and what's released with it. So I love those. I love your drawing and stuff. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And also make sure, you're following my boy Tom here.
I love it. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, make that red button gray.
Yeah,
that's been brilliant. It's an absolute pleasure to talk to you, Eli. You're a real legend, and I know you're going to go from strength to strength. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much. And, hopefully we can connect soon.
Absolutely. See you at 2026.
Yes, absolutely.
Hi, can you hear and see me okay?
Yes, I can. How are you, man? I love your shirt.
Thank you very much. Yeah.